Great. So, we're here for a conversation called the pleasure path. And what we're really out to disrupt is the idea that you could hate yourself into health or happiness. The conversation today is an exploration of how critical it is to enjoy the process of pursuing vitality.
Hmm.
So, Joe, I have you here because, from what I know, you've spent 40 years in the hair industry. You've
Yep.
spent almost 25 years doing personal transformation work, over 6 years
At 25
developing,
years this week.
25 years this week. Wow, remarkable. 6 years as a leader in that work, and you've had your own personal health journey.
Yes.
So, drawing from all of that experience,
Mhm.
I want to hear from you about how important it is to feel beautiful, to look in the mirror and to be thrilled about what you see, and how that pulls something forward in you around self care, self honoring, looking from your transformational work, how the words that you use matter in terms of your
Mhm.
ability to follow through. When somebody says, I have to versus I get to.
Mhm.
And what it took in your own experience to really pivot towards prioritizing your own vitality over not. So you can draw from any of that experience to get the conversation started, and then we'll see how it unfolds.
Okay. So I think the best thing to do is to go back to the beginning. So um I grew up in Macedonia, Ohio, very young, um, very sassy little girl, and but really poor. And I had black hair, black curly hair, as you can see. I still have black curly hair. And very dark skin and very Sicilian, and I was called not good names because I looked brown. Not a problem, just I'm Sicilian. That's what it was. And so I grew up feeling like the ugly duckling. Like I wasn't pretty like everybody else. Interestingly enough, at a very young age, I put myself into beauty school. And so I went into the beauty industry and started my career at 15. I'm now 57. So I've been in the beauty industry working for 40 years, but training the first 2 years. And I said, I don't want other people to feel ugly. So I took on being a hairdresser, a cosmetologist, and learning beauty, learning makeup, nails, skincare, massage, all of that, even men's grooming, like barbering, because I think it's important for everyone to feel beautiful. Um, and so I've made it my life's mission to bring out the beauty in others. Consequently, learning how to enjoy my own beauty, like find my beauty and feel beautiful, which I think is an internal thing, not an external thing. But when you start externally, at least you get the ball rolling. My whole modus operandi, as it were, in my job is to have take the beauty from within people and bring it to the outside so that they can fall in love with who's looking back at them in the mirror. That's really my whole reason for being and making a difference in the world as a hairdresser. And I'm very good at what I do. Like it's not even up for discussion. Um, my own journey at a very young age, I remember being in sixth grade and I being the height that I am. I grew up quickly. I mean, I developed quickly. So it's in sixth grade, we had this president's physical fitness achievement thing.
I remember.
And you had to do sit-ups, which I was very good at. You had to do the flexed arm hang, which I was not great at, but I did it. But we had to run. And at some point we ran and I tripped. We ran outside and I tripped and fell. And I was a very lanky, kind of tall, weird kind of kid. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s and did this autobiography and like really looked at who I was. I actually was a long-legged, lean string being, but I thought I was fat because I weighed over 100 pounds. But I was 5'6" in sixth grade. But I didn't know that. I just knew that I weighed more than everybody else. And at my age, I didn't land anywhere on that president's physical fitness scale. So I fell and during the run, and everybody laughed at me because I was awkward. I was just a long, lanky kid. And I felt like I was fat. And that started this whole body dysmorphia thing at a very young age. And wasn't until my 30s where I realized that I was actually like a beanpole. Was actually just really tall and very just awkward. But it put something in my brain about who I was. And then I was in the beauty industry for years. I still am. And I've always tried to accept who I am, but not very much, not very good at accepting who I was. I became a bodybuilder at a young age. So in my teens, I joined the weightlifting team and became a bodybuilder. Shortly after high school, I threw shot put and discus. I was in track. And again, thinking I was this big, huge person. Um, and the weight on the scale was what I looked at. And, you know, girls my age were like 120 pounds. And here I was 160 pounds, right? And I was solid muscle, but I didn't know what that meant. Like I just didn't know what that meant. I was young, I was stupid. And so after high school, I moved away to start my career and I stopped working out. I fell into a not great relationship and he wouldn't let me work out. I was in a very abusive marriage and I gained a lot of weight. And I seesawed with my weight most of my adult life. About a year and a half ago, and I had gotten as high up as into the 260s, 270s, you know, when I was pregnant with my kids. But I mostly hovered at like 210, 215 most of my adult life, like mostly for the past 30 some odd years. Right. So that's like a normal size for me. And a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes, really like a ridiculous A1C, 14.5. And my doctor said, you know, you're an old mom. I didn't have my kids till I was 40 and said, you're an old mom. And if you want to live to see your kids get married and have kids, you need to do something right now because you could like walk down the street and have a stroke, but you present well because you're pretty. So no one will ever think that you're really sick inside. So I got really busy taking care of myself. And I lost like 60 pounds, and that's where I've been for the last year. Now, the funny thing is, the weight that I am now, I'm about 160, 165. That's where I've kind of sat for a year. I haven't been this weight since high school, which is kind of funny. It took me 40 years to get back here. I have my 40th reunion next year, so it's kind of funny. Uh, but it's been a journey. Health is a journey. I also think that you get to a certain age and there are other factors like going through menopause and having two children. My kids are 16 and 18. and your body changes. You have to accept the body you're in. You actually don't accept it. You have to love the body you're in. So the journey of being beautiful has been a series of in and out, up and down, loving myself, hating myself. And I think that many people, I don't think that I'm uncommon in that space of love thyself, hate thyself, like all of that. But what I do think is the older I've gotten, the more I love all of me and accept all of me, the healthy parts, the unhealthy parts. I've really learned that I can actually impact them and be responsible for what's going on in my body. Be responsible. During COVID, I live in New York City, and I was one of the first people to get COVID, that first round of COVID in March of 2020. And I was very ill for 6 weeks. I almost died. And my doctor was like, you're not going to the hospital because they're putting people on ventilators. They don't necessarily really know what this is all about. I want you to stay home, sweat it out. And I was delirious. It was bad. And I say that to say that I had to really make a choice to want to live. And it changed everything, you know? So I'm sharing that with you for no other reason than a lot happens in a lifetime. The other thing that happened with COVID is all my hair fell out. So when you get a fever, you have hair loss. And then I had cortisol because I had to shut my company down for 16 weeks. And that makes your hair fall out. And I went through menopause, and that makes your hair fall out. So I literally had this triple whammy of COVID, cortisol, and hormonal imbalance from going through menopause, and all my hair fell out. And I finally just, at one point, just shaved my head. And I wore my head shaved as a young person for a long time, so I don't mind having a shaved head. But a year and a half ago, I shaved my head, and I said, I'm just going to start from scratch. And I'm going to be beautiful all the way through, no matter what length my hair is, no matter what color it is, whether I have highlights or don't, or have color or don't have color, whether it's curly or straight, I'm going to be beautiful all the way through. And I think, and I say that to say, looking and feeling beautiful are a choice. Looking and being healthy are a choice. You're accountable for everything you put in your mouth. You're accountable for every step you take, for every bit of you. Someone said, like, the best doctor is sun, exercise, sleep, healthy eating. Like, it's so funny. I've seen that on multiple social media platforms over and over. The best medicine, rather, is water, sun, sleep, exercise, eating well,
Yeah.
joy, like, all those things, right? And I think that's very true. You can go and augment your body and do things to your skin, and that's all surface stuff. But if you're not good on the inside, there's no beauty to bring to the surface. Like, you gotta be beautiful here in your mind, and beautiful in your heart, and beautiful in your being, who you be. It's not a money thing. It's nothing other than what you say it is. So I just don't think that it's something you can buy. I don't think it's something that you can manipulate. I think it's something that you be and that you create. Like, if I start my morning off with 24 ounces of lemon water, I know I'm starting off with an alkaline system. And I know that if I take an Epsom salt bath and do a scrub at night, I'm ending my day in a taking care of myself, preparing for my sleep. I don't drink or do drugs, although I did a lot of that when I was younger. But I know that if I have a glass of wine, I'm going to feel it the next day. I just know that about myself, so I don't do it. And I think that that self-discovery is a journey. I think that self-discovery is a choice. I think we have the capacity to take impeccable care of ourselves, and sometimes we choose not to, in spite of ourselves, you know? Um, I remember being in this course, this transformational course, and being pregnant with my son. And the person leading the course said, you know, Joe, whatever you watch, you eat, like, what are you feeding yourself? Like, what do you read? What are you watching? What are you saying? What are you doing? You're feeding that to yourself, and you're feeding that to your kid in your belly. And I was like, yeah, I said, you know, my friends all want to go see this big horror flick. They want to go see this horror movie, and I just don't want to see that. And the person that was my mentor at the time said, I request that while you're pregnant, that you don't watch anything disturbing, whether it be movies, things that blow up. Don't feed your mind any of those things. If it's the news is upsetting, don't feed your mind anything that upsets you, because you're upsetting your baby. You know, you're the one making your baby. And it's funny, my son is now 18 years old, and I have not watched a horror flick in 19 years since my pregnancy with him. Because I know that what you feed your mind is what you feed your mind. My kids don't have social media. My son just started his Instagram page for his music um, last year at 17, and my daughter is 16 and literally just started her Instagram page this year for her art. Because I don't want them feeding their minds the crap that's on social media. And people are like, how do you have older teenagers without social media? I'm like, because I'm their mother.
Yeah.
I know the effect it has on them. There's so many studies. Well, my 8-year-old wants to have Instagram. I'm like, yeah, but your 8-year-old doesn't need to have a TV or a phone, rather, you know, or like, that's crazy. That's my opinion. That's not the truth, right? So just think what you feed your mind is also part of your beauty. What you take in, not just ingest food wise, whether it's like vitamins or supplements or the food that you eat, but what you fill your mind with also affects your beauty. You know, what you read, anything you take in internally, whether it's mentally, um, ingesting, drinking, hear, what you say, all of that causes your beauty. It all affects your beauty. It all affects your health. And I think health and beauty go hand in hand. I think the healthier you are physically, mentally, spiritually, the more beautiful you are. I think they all intertwine, you know? Did that answer the question? That was a very big question. So I'm trying to like hit all of it. I'm not sure that I did, but
That's amazing. No, it's great. And there are so many pieces that I'd love to come back to and ask you to clarify and speak more on.
Mhm,
Thank you for your generosity and all of that. One of the things that you said is that as a hairstylist, you aim to bring the inner beauty out because the inner
mhm,
beauty and the outer beauty go together. And so, drawing from that experience and from your experience in both your own transformational work and leading transformational work, I'm
mhm,
curious, like when the when someone is first starting this journey, right? They
mhm,
come to you and they're in a low place. They have no idea what it means to feel beautiful, or they think that that's something that's purely external and
mhm,
out of reach.
mhm.
Um, where do you start with that person to help them find something deeper in the concept of beauty that they can actually touch and feel and experience in a really authentic way?
I ask the most ridiculous question and it works every time. When new clients come to me, it's usually because they don't like what's happening with their hair, or they went somewhere and got it ruined, or they heard my reputation, or whatever. I have new clients every week sitting in my chair. So I always ask the same funny, ridiculous question, but it's very insightful. When in your life did you love your hair the most? It's so funny because it's just like a really ridiculous question. But if I ask you, Dawn, when in your life did you love your hair the most? You know exactly when that was.
Mhm.
And then I follow it up with, when in your life did you dislike your hair the most? Because sometimes they can't tell you when they loved it the most, but they always know when they hated it the most, which is kind of funny. Like, this is a stupid, mundane question, but it's like, it's interesting. Every single person has the them that they aspire to or that they love. I've never met anybody that said, "Oh, I've never loved my hair." Never heard that. I've never felt pretty. I've never heard that. I've never heard people ever not have an answer for that. Like it's like, and I know that sounds ridiculous. So the other thing that I do with new people when we're going on this path together is I look at their best asset. So one of their best assets might be one of their eyes, their eyes or their nose or their lips, or I find whatever is there that's stunning. Everybody has some part of them that's perfect. Like, eternal doesn't make ugly. Like, we all have something beautiful, right? So I find that thing that they love about themselves and I highlight it, like shine the spotlight on that, you know. Um, I work with men and women all the time, and one of the most beautiful parts of a woman to me is the décolleté, this area here, like the neck and the shoulder blades and the collarbone. This area is just so pretty. And I find it to be fascinatingly beautiful. And I always like look for a woman to see where the hair falls there. How does it land there? What did they see? And so many people, I'll say that like this is the most beautiful part of most women. Well, I think all women actually. And they're like, you're right. I actually like my neck, or I want to expose my neck. I always wear these things that are up here. I'm like, and then we don't see that, or my hair comes in here a lot. And how can we pull it away from the face? Like open it up. And it's just so funny because it's the little nuances I think that make people pretty, you know? I also don't like balance. I think that things that are askew or asymmetrical are prettier. I don't think that anyone, if any of us had a completely balanced face, we'd look funky. You know, you have a stronger side. Um, the other thing I really like to do is I like to give people tips, like maybe we should darken your eyebrows to create some sort of definition to your face. Maybe we should shift your glasses and the rim color of your glasses to accentuate your skin color. Maybe we could give you a fringe or not have a fringe, you know? Let's see your forehead a little bit. Like, where do we want to open up or close down? Or, hairdressing is just all um, nuances that play tricks on your eyes,
Yeah.
you know? That's all it is,
I heard a
really.
makeup artist tell, well, actually, I mean, she said it to me. She was teaching me how to put on makeup. She said, makeup is physics. You're just pushing and pulling light.
Yes, it's all contrast. It's
Yeah.
expansion, like light expands and opens up, and dark contracts and shuts down and diminishes. That's all it is. It's just chiaroscuro.
Yeah.
Photographers understand chiaroscuro because it's what, black and white photography is all chiaroscuro. It's all light against dark. It's all contrast. It's all, black, white, and every shade of gray. That's why black and white pictures are so romantic and color pictures aren't. And what we do is all contrast, light and dark, and diminish and expansion. Like it's all smoke and mirrors. We can change anybody's face, can change anybody's structure, and it is structural. It's up and down, in and out, light and dark. It's all art, you know?
Okay, so now I want to ask you a question from the other side, because you just told me about the very practical approaches to helping somebody, which
Mm-hmm.
is great, right? Like accentuate what you love,
Mm-hmm. And
diminish
diminish what
what
you
you
don't.
don't love, and allow that to be something. Because in my experience, right, when somebody looks in the mirror and they feel joy, it pulls forth action that's consistent with joy. It's
Yeah.
easier to do to
My job is to
your
have you
body
fall in
to
love with
eat
yourself.
well, yeah, when you like what you see. So now coming at it from the kind of the transformational work that you do,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we often talk about the difference between responsibility and make wrong or fixing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you've worked with thousands of people, and I know that the overwhelming majority of them don't come to transformational work because they want to break through in health, but many of them do. And I
Mm-hmm.
trust that you've seen many of those journeys in other people along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious if you can add insight into this conversation, one about the difference between fixing something and taking ownership of yourself. And
Fixing will never work. I'm going to tell you that right now.
okay,
Fixing
so
doesn't work.
clarify for people listening to this, what does it even mean to fix something
To take
versus to
something
have
that you can,
ownership?
yeah, well, it's the difference between taking something that you think is broken,
Mhm.
like broken glass, and trying to paste it back together with super glue. Doesn't work.
Mhm.
The first step is really getting that you're not broken. You're perfect the way you are. You can enhance or expand or contract. And I think the biggest thing for people is very simple, is to be their word, to give word, have word, be your word, honor your word or not.
Give an example of that for somebody who's like, what? What does
Okay,
that even mean?
super simple. Going to give you something super simple. This has to do with hair. So I have a friend and her daughter's in college And her daughter called me a week ago. We went on FaceTime and she said, let me just give you the background, Joe. Girl's beautiful, by the way, stunningly beautiful. Doesn't even know she's beautiful. She's like so pretty, right? Young, vibrant. A year ago, she did black box dye on her head. And then she had highlights. And then she covered it back up. And her hair is trashed out. She goes, how can I said, listen, the only way up from here is up. Like, it's only going to get better. And I recommend this shampoo, this treatment weekly, this conditioner daily, every other day, and these vitamins to strengthen. And I just recommended some products. I said, stop using that particular blow dryer. It's not good for you. So I said, this shampoo, this treatment, this conditioner, this weekly, these vitamins, stop using that particular blow dryer. It's too strong for you. And let's do this for a month. Take a picture. Let's do this for a month. And then a month from now, we're going to take another picture and see what the next thing is. And she also promised to have a month of air drying her hair. So I spoke to her mom last night, I think. And her mom said, I saw my daughter. She came home for the weekend. She said, Mom, feel my hair. And her mom was like, oh my God, it feels so good. She goes, it's only been a week. So in the simplest terms, she gave her word to do exactly what I said. She's given it for 3 months. So I gave her vitamins for 3 months, product for 3 months. But for this, she gave her word for 1 week. Saw immediate results. So when we talk about transformational work is simply giving your word to something and keeping it. Every single person on the planet has the capacity to transform in an instant. You know how I know that? I don't know anyone who hasn't been in some sort of upset, argument, crying, whatever in their life. And then the doorbell rings and they go to the doorbell, they go, hello. Or they're screaming, hollering, yelling, complaining, moaning and groaning. And then the phone rings and they go, hi. Transformation is simply going from one being to another being instantaneously because you say so. Right? Give your word to something and keep your word. It happens like that. So here's this young, beautiful woman whose hair is in not great shape. And in 1 week, she can feel it, see it, touch it. And it's only because she's just keeping her word and staying to her word. Good conditioner too. But it's irrelevant. Like, she chose not to blow dry her hair for a week.
And the
She
conditioner
chose to,
can't help if you don't put it on.
yeah. Like, you could shampoo your hair with anything, but if you shampoo your hair with something that nourishes it, puts the lipids back in, puts the ceramides back in, like, that makes a difference, right? Conversely, she could run to the store and put more color on it or bleach on it and damage it more. But she's given her word. She's given me her word that she will not touch it with color between now and Christmas, which is quite a few months away. Well, just by virtue of 4 months, she's going to have 2 inches of completely virgin, brand new hair coming out of her head, 2 inches of length that she didn't have. And with these months of using good products, completely different hair. Like, there's a restoration that's happening. It's just giving your word. So transformation in beauty, transformation in health is saying, I'm going to drink water with lemon juice in it. Or, this is not a practice that I have and haven't for probably 30 years, I'm going to drink a Coca-Cola. My word is I don't drink any kind of soda. I drink water and I drink coffee. That's it. And my coffee's black. There's nothing in it. So it's like, and my water just has lemon juice in it. There's nothing in it. I gave my word to what goes in my mouth. I know that if I drink a 6-pack of cola, my skin's going to freak out. I know if I drink a 6-pack of beer, my body's going to freak out. But I know if I drink a 6-pack of water, I'm going to be well hydrated.
So tell me the difference in what you've seen between the person who says, okay, I gave my word to that, now I have to,
Mm-mm.
versus the person who says, I
The
get
French get it right. So the French have, so there's the difference between I have to, I want to, and I would like. So in French, you could say je veux, I want that, I want that. Something very aggressive about je veux. You could say je voudrais, I would like. There's something quite subtle and beautiful and a desire, right? Je veux, je voudrais, I want, I would like. I have to. I need to. I'm supposed to. All of those things are a demand and a requirement that's not necessarily a desire. When you desire something, you have a source of power. When you have to do something, you're at the effect of someone else or that thing. And there's no desire, there's no power.
someone in touch with their desire is deeply beautiful.
Yes,
It brings forth a particular radiance.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, my son is coming of age and trying to figure out who he wants to be in the world. And I just keep asking him, what are you passionate about? 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 And I don't think that a lot of parents ask their 18-year-old what they're passionate about, but I do. Because I'm a creative. I knew what I wanted at 18. I knew what I was passionate about, and I went for it. My husband does. He's a creative. He's a DJ. He's a disc jockey and plays music and makes people dance and makes them happy. And it's what he's passionate about. You know, I didn't become a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant like my mom wanted me to, a nurse or a teacher.
There's something really beautiful about being who you actually are
Yes, in your essence.
in your essence.
Like your essence gives you who you are. And if you follow your essence, your passion, your deepest, highest self, your supreme power, your internal beauty, then you're beautiful.
I love it. It's so perfect. So we've covered the very practical
Mhm,
all the way to the deeply spiritual.
mhm.
Is there anything else that you feel inclined to add? Like if I had just asked you some particular question around this topic, right? Inner beauty, outer beauty, how it pulls forth consistency towards achieving health and vitality. What
I
else do you
think the
see that makes
thing I think the thing that I would add, so we're very pragmatic and very spiritual. But I think the thing that I would add is something I learned from my great grandmother. And William Shakespeare said it, to thine own self be true. Like I think the thing that I would add is answer to no one. See, if you're answering to others, it's not you. I think when you go from your own, again, desire, divinity, power, you can move mountains. But when you do something in order to have some sort of result, or you do something in order to appease someone else, if you do something in order to um, make someone else happy, it's not you. Again, going back to your word. It's your word is you. Like, answer to no one. And you might be your hardest critic, by the way.
Often the case, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every time you answer to you, every time you keep your word to you build up trust that the you that you are is doing what you need to do for you. And your being becomes very beautiful because it's pure.
Thank you, Joe Blackwell Preston, celebrity hairstylist, knight. I didn't get to hear the story yet about how you were knighted another day, and transformational inspiration. I'm so grateful for your time, your contribution to this conversation, and to your capacity to share your beauty with us and with the world. So
You're
thank you
welcome.
so much. It's a pleasure.